got you. Okay, I'm thinking, okay, that makes sense. Got you. Put that together. No, it's the question. I asked the question. I asked the
What's up there, Mom? Did you guys call me? You mentioned my name? Yeah, and then Rick took the cart and went downstairs with it. Then he brought it back up. They took it out and set it by the coffee stand. Rick said he pointed out behind the tree.
In a dark room, it'll be fine. Darker room.
Yeah.
But you don't want the room to be too dark either because you won't be able to see anything.
Because you're filming.
I'm just selfish.
No. Yes.
Yeah, no, you're fine.
So we took this question so much. 540. 540. You're welcome. Happens down on the right past that blue delta. Okay. So she'll, yeah, but I'll let it.
Elbow rolling. Rolling now. 10 more seconds.
You can do it all this footage. Just always take pictures.
I know what we're eating.
We wouldn't survive. Not here.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Let's give our reception entertainers Mike Tarpley and Diedrich Wambo a round of applause. I'm Katris Mines, editor of Atlanta Tribune, the magazine, and I'm delighted to welcome you to our 14th annual Hall of Fame. We strive each month to provide you with relevant, thought-provoking news features in print and on the web. We're grateful to you for supporting us, our magazine, and honoring us with your presence this evening. Our MC for this has been a delightful fixture at our annual December events for the past 8 years, and we are honored that Silas Alexander, affectionately known as Cy-Man Baby, is joining us again this year. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Silas Cy-Man Alexander. I'm gonna leave this up here.
Good evening. Everybody good? All right, all right, all right. You know, first order of business, these things right here. If you haven't thought about it, please put it on silent, vibrate, something. Pet peeve, I just got to say it. Am I the only one? I saw a lady 2 days ago, phone going off on loud. Phone going off. She slowly picks up the phone, looks at it and says, "Oh, I don't want to talk to them," and leaves it ringing. Am I the only one? I'm like, whoo, just silence it. Okay, if you don't want to hear the ring anymore, I don't want to hear the ring anymore either. But these are wonderful, wonderful tools, and we got to have them. We depend on them. But we're going to keep it nice and quiet tonight in the ceremony. All right. I would first like to thank the Atlanta Tribune, the magazine, for inviting me again to participate this evening. And I would like to thank all of you who listen to Magic 107.5 97.5, which is a station that was started by an African-American family, a black family. Magic 107.5 97.5 is part of the Radio 1 family, and we thank you for your support. As Katris mentioned, this evening we are celebrating the Atlanta Tribune's 14th Hall of Fame induction ceremony. And last year I had the honor of hosting the 25th anniversary of the Atlanta Tribune itself. Most publications, think about this, don't survive for 5 years, let alone 25. So I would ask all of you to join me right now in showing a little love right off the bat to Miss Pat Latier. And the Atlanta Tribune for promoting African American achievement for a total of 26 years. All right, at this time I'd like to ask you to pay attention to the screens because tonight we salute legal legends. Before we share our distinguished list of legal legends, I'd like to ask you to look at the screens for a retrospective on the Atlanta Tribune itself. If you have a library at your home, the Atlanta Tribune truly belongs in the Georgia History section. Tonight's Hall of Fame inductees are history makers here in Georgia. They've each broken barriers and achieved significant success in their fields. And throughout it all, they've maintained a great deal of dignity, integrity, and respect. And tonight, we will honor Justice Robert Benham, the first African American to serve on the Georgia State Court of Appeals Supreme Court and the first African American justice to serve on the Georgia Supreme Court. We will also honor the late Johnny L. Cochran, founder of the Cochran Firm, one of the nation's premier criminal defense firms. We will honor Mr. Thomas G. Sampson, Sr., founder and managing partner of Thomas Kennedy Sampson and Tompkins, Georgia's oldest minority law firm. And last but certainly not least, Justice Leah Ward Sears, the first African-American woman and youngest person ever to serve as Chief Justice on the Georgia Supreme Court. Now, you'll hear more about their distinguished careers later this evening, but in the meantime, let's acknowledge all of them collectively right now. You know, keeping it real, events of this nature are wonderful, but are not possible without the generosity of sponsors. And the Atlanta Tribune is honored to have the support of the following organizations. And we'll look at their names on the screens at this time. Hold your applause and we'll show them all love at the end. The Coca-Cola Company, the Atlanta Braves, General Motors, Schiff Hardin, the Georgia Lottery, Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, UPS, and Verizon Wireless. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in thanking these sponsors for their support. And the proceeds from this event will benefit the George A. Latier Scholarship Foundation. So we hope that you're in a giving mood tonight and will support the silent auction. Now, I look around this room, I see a lot of high-power people, up in here. It's a high-power group. Most of you work hard. Not everybody, but most of you work hard. And sometimes you need to get away. Spice your life up a little bit. Anybody fit that description? Yeah? Okay, maybe I've got a little something you need to consider bidding on. The Mandarin Hotel. On the screens. Doesn't that look lovely? Can you imagine yourself there, relaxing, breathing fresh air, sipping on a little something, whatever you sip on? Well, we have the Mandarin Hotel in the package at the silent auction, so place your bid for the Mandarin Hotel. It could be yours, at least for a few nights. If you need to leave town, a lot of us do, bid on the Delta Sky Miles certificate. Or if you want to just enjoy the comfort of home, you can bid on an original piece of art and hang it over your fireplace in your palatial estate. The artist of this work, Leroy Campbell, is with us tonight. Leroy, where are you, sir? Please stand. Now, he will be delighted to share his vision on this beautiful piece of art. There are over a dozen items available in the silent auction, so please place your bids during our dinner break in just a bit. Also, the candles, the centerpieces on the table, they're lovely. The candles are now the property of the host of the table. Okay, so that is your gift to the host of the table, all right? I know you're like, I host the table. No, I host the table. We all work there. What you talking about? Now, ladies and gentlemen, we always start things out right, and I'm going to ask the sales manager of the Atlanta Tribune to come up and give us our invocation, and after he gives us our invocation, please proceed to the buffet stations. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Dwayne Torrance.
Let's bow our heads in prayer. God in heaven, it's a privilege to invite you here as our honored guest at yet another Hall of Fame. And we thank you, Lord, for the inductees this year. I didn't think we topped last year. But Lord, there is no end to the bounty that you have. Thank you for showering it down upon us and allowing us to be or to travel along with these individuals. Lord, you've given them a lot of talent, a lot of wisdom. And we know it's from you, because all of it comes from you. Lord, we thank you for the food we're going to receive this evening and the hands that prepared it. It's in your Son's precious name we pray. Amen.
As you enjoy dinner, I want to share something with you. But first, let me just ask you, put your hands together. These brothers were working hard over there, making the music sound good. Mike Tarpley and Dedrick Womble, much love, brothers. Keep up the good work. We have an opportunity for you to win some prizes tonight. But you know, this is a fundraiser. So we're going to do it in a fundraising kind of way with a raffle. And tonight we're raffling off $75 Home Depot gift card, Home Depot picnic basket, Don Julio Blanco tequila. That works with the Mandarin Hotel, right? That works together. And Atlanta Falcons Roddy White number 84 jersey. Ballara bath gift set, that's shower gel and roller fragrance. Another one that includes 6 mini lip gloss set and pedicure set. Another beauty bath set that has peppermint body lotion, detox sea mist scrub, and aroma sachet. 2 of those. We have a wild berry tree pancake syrup and buttermilk pancake mix. 2 of those. We have family 4-packs of tickets to Disney Live, Mickey's Music Festival, on December 16th. We have 2 tickets to see the Atlanta Hawks take on the Utah Jazz, and a parking pass for January the 11th. 2 tickets to see the Hawks take on the Chicago Bulls, and a parking pass on February the 2nd. And 2 tickets to West Side Story at the Cobb Energy Center on December 13th. Now, the way to get those is through the raffle tickets. We have raffle tickets, 7 for $10. 7 for $10. So you get 7 chances right off the bat with that one $10 donation. 7 for $10 tonight on the raffle tickets, and all of those prizes that I just mentioned are in the raffle tonight. So if you would kindly raise your hands, I have 4 lovely volunteers that would love to come to you so you don't have to be disturbed, or we will minimally disturb your dinner and get you in the raffle game. Thank you so much. Continue to enjoy your dinner. You know, if you look on your table, you see a little mystery gift card from Home Depot. Home Depot was actually even more generous than that. There are 14 around the room, 14 additional gift cards valued anywhere from $10 to $25, taped under your seat. And don't pull the tag off the seat. But under 14 seats, there are gift cards from the Home Depot. There's a white Home Depot envelope, and your gift card will be inside that envelope. All right, I hear some winners. We're going to keep the party going. I certainly hope you enjoyed your dinner. And the time is near to begin our Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Unfortunately, I have another engagement. I have to be on the radio in about 26 minutes, live from Sandy Springs. So we're going to see how I pull that off. But my last official duty for this evening is to introduce your co-MCs for the last half of our program. You will be ably led this evening by two distinct personalities. Please allow me the opportunity here to share a few details. First, Attorney Caesar C. Mitchell serves as the 7th president of the Atlanta City Council. Prior to being elected as City Council president, he ably served 8 years as a citywide council member. Council President Mitchell is a native Atlantan, educated at Morehouse College and the University of Georgia Law. Mr. Mitchell proudly served as Hall of Fame host committee member, and he and his wife reside in the historic West End. Your co-MC is attorney Brian Poe. Mr. Poe is a graduate of the University of Virginia School of Law and has an MBA from the University of Georgia. After working as senior attorney with Delta Airlines, Mr. Poe launched his own practice and founded Esquire Connect LLC, a national legal recruiting firm. He's a native Atlantan. He and his wife, Tanya, have 2 children. Mr. Poe serves on the Hall of Fame host committee as well and is a frequent Atlanta Tribune contributor. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming your 2 co-MCs, and please enjoy the rest of your evening. Atlanta City Council President Caesar C. Mitchell and attorney Brian Poe.
Thank you, sir. Hey, I might give you a little crown on your name. So, you know, they got your name in this side, so I might crown you.
Hand me the keys.
Thank you, Cy-Man, for that gracious introduction, and let us all give Cy-Man a round of applause. I don't know how many of you all know his real name, but I'm not going to say it because he has a chance to speak on air every day, and I don't want him clowning me every day on the air. So I'll just say it's Cy-Man Baby. I won't say that his name is Silas Alexander. Is my microphone on? I'm sorry. Well, good evening. We got to do better than that. Good evening. I am certainly humbled and honored to be able to serve as co-MC this evening. The Atlanta Tribune for over 25 years has consistently promoted accomplishments of African Americans, and that's certainly evidenced by those who we will be recognizing this evening. I am certainly so happy to be here and to play a small part in this event, and certainly be a small part of the legacy of the Atlanta Tribune. I'll tell you, when I first was called by Brian Poe to be involved in this program, in fact, let me just stop lying, actually. When I called Brian Poe and asked could I be involved in this program, I really felt like an 18-year-old trying to get a free ticket to an after party to a great concert. And it really meant a lot to me to be able to be here for a number of reasons. Certainly the Atlanta Tribune has been a wonderful magazine in our community, contributing to the value, what I call the overall value add in our community, uplifting the lives and the accomplishments of the African American community. I am also so glad to be here with the honorees and those who will be introducing the honorees. They are wonderful friends and mentors to me. Presenting our first Hall of Fame inductee is Ms. Terry McClure. Ms. McClure is Senior Vice President of Legal Compliance, Audit, and Public Affairs, General Counsel and Corporate Secretary for UPS. In this role, she oversees all UPS ethics and compliance, audit, and legal initiatives in more than 220 countries and territories. She also advises and supports the UPS Board of Directors. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Hall of Fame Host Committee member, Ms. Terry Plummer McClure.
Good evening. I have been given the distinct honor of introducing a tremendous role model and mentor in the legal community, Justice Benham. And he is someone who I have looked up to since I first began practicing law, and it is truly an honor to stand here before you today. He's been recognized time and time again, but I don't think we can recognize him enough. In 1984, it was a novel notion for a black man to serve on the State Court of Appeals. Prior to that time, no African American had ever served in a statewide position in Georgia. Integrating the state's Court of Appeals wasn't his first time breaking barriers. Justice Benham was active in the civil rights demonstrations in Alabama. He arranged voter registration drives in Selma and was the first black to even receive a library card from Cartersville Library, his hometown. In 1989, Justice Benham became the first black justice to serve on the Supreme Court of Georgia and served as Chief Justice for 6 years. Please turn your attention to the screens for a tribute to the Honorable Justice Robert Benham. Well, if you will, please join me in recognizing and honoring this living legend, Justice Robert Benham.
Thank you very much. They tell me I get a chance to speak ever so briefly. It's a pleasure to be recognized, but that pleasure is even more delightful when I can be recognized in the company of the memory of Johnny Cochran, who I knew as a lawyer, and Tom Sampson, who I've known as a friend for a number of years, and Justice Sears, who was a colleague of mine for a number of years. And the pleasure is heightened even more that you are recognizing members of the legal community, because we are a country of different people from different backgrounds, different religions, different races, and different traditions. The one thing that we have in common is the law, and it's the one place that no matter what our differences are, that we should all stand equal before the bar of justice. It was some 42 years ago that the judge in my hometown invited me to come back to practice law. What was even more unusual for those of you who are history buffs is that his name was Jefferson L. Davis. And when he invited me to come back to my hometown to practice law, he said, I can't guarantee you that everybody would treat you fairly, but I can guarantee you that I will always treat you fairly as a judge. And he upheld that belief during my years of practice in Cartersville. And some of us might think that in the South, sometimes and many times things don't go right. But in that little small town where I practice law, within 48 hours after I came to practice law, every lawyer in the circuit came by my office. Some came by just to see if I was what people had said that I was. Some came by bringing well wishes. Some came by to bring old law books or to invite me to come to their office. But the last person to come by was the clerk of court. And he said, "Colonel, I have something for you." And he handed me a key. And he said, "This is the key to the courthouse. And I want you to make all of your clients feel welcome, because the courthouse doesn't belong to the judges, it doesn't belong to the lawyers, and it doesn't belong to the courthouse crowd. It belongs to the people of this state, and they should all be treated fairly in their courthouse." So thank you very much.
Good evening. I'm delighted to serve as co-MC this evening on such an auspicious occasion, and it has been an absolute joy to serve on the Atlanta Tribune Advisory Board and to work with Pat Latier, Ketris Mines, and Camille Whitaker on my monthly column, The Attorney's Corner, in which we profile one of Atlanta's top attorneys. If you've been profiled in the Attorney's Corner, could you please stand briefly? We have any? Thank you. I am not the only attorney who contributes on a monthly basis to Atlanta Tribune, the magazine. We also have two columnists who write legal smarts, Deonzia Johnson-Massey, a partner at Littler Mendelson, and Thomas Cox, a partner at the law firm of Lewis Brisbois, and he is actually our featured attorney in Attorney's Corner in the magazine that you have at your table now. It's Attorney Thomas Cox here. Thank you. Thank you for your contribution, Thomas, to the magazine. Presenting our second Hall of Fame inductee is Mr. Eric Barnum, a 2011 and 2012 Georgia super lawyer. Mr. Barnum is a star partner at Schiff Hardin Law Firm, the national law firm, in the Labor and Employment Group. He is an experienced trial lawyer, practicing in all areas of employment law and litigation, a graduate of UCLA and University of Pacific Law School, and married to Daisy Barnum with a son in college. Eric is also hands-on involved in our community as chairman of the board of directors of the Future Foundation, an outstanding nonprofit that benefits at-risk youth in the metro Atlanta area. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my client, my friend, and an outstanding Atlanta attorney, Mr. Eric Barnum.
Thank you, Brian. Good evening. If you dig far enough into Johnnie Cochran's career, you'll find that the beginnings of a legal activist were buoyed by the pivots and postures of the first African-American Supreme Court Justice, Thurgood Marshall. Shortly after opening a private practice, Cochran represented a widow who sued several police officers who had shot and killed her husband. Though Mr. Cochran lost the case, it became a point of inception, one that mobilizes communities of color on cases surrounding police brutality and social injustice. Cochran represented both household names and celebrities right until his untimely passing in 2005. His legacy remains, however, as he left behind the Cochran firm, which is one of the nation's premier law firms. Please turn your attention to the screens for a tribute to the late Johnny L. Cochran. You know, if I may offer just a quick personal anecdote about my one and only experience with Johnny Cochran, I was a young first or second year associate in Los Angeles in 1994, 1995, and by that time, Mr. Cochran's reputation had become legend. And I was at a restaurant one evening, and he pulls up in his Rolls Royce, and he gets out. I felt like one of those kids in Zaire watching Ali come in. I was like, Johnny, Boomba, Johnny. I really felt like I was in the presence of greatness. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Miss Tiffany Cochran Edwards as she accepts a 2013 Hall of Fame recognition on behalf of her father.
Thank you so much. To all of our honorees tonight, distinguished guests, and all our friends and visitors here this evening, good evening to everyone. It's such a tremendous honor for my father to be honored in this way, and he's in wonderful company with all the rest of the honorees to be in this awesome Hall of Fame. It's hard to believe he's been gone 7 years, but not a day goes by that we don't feel his amazing presence and see the lasting effects of his commitment to justice and his love for the law. Recently, I found his American Bar Association card, and it's so important, and we just kind of keep it handy to remember what his commitment and passion for the law is. But on behalf of my family and the nearly 300 attorneys, paralegals, and staff that make up the Cochran firm nationwide, we say thank you so much and accept this award knowing that my father's looking down on us and we're inspired to work even harder to continue making him proud. And I just want to recognize one of our lawyers. Our lawyers are in trial this week, so many of them are working. Yes, I have a little partner. And I just want to recognize one of our attorneys, Cherie Brady, over there. Cherie, if you wouldn't stand very quickly. One of our young, the future of our law firm, and I'm so glad she's here with us. But I also want to thank Miss Pat Latier. Where are you, Pat? Can't see you, and I know you're here. Thank you so much, and the staff of the Atlanta Tribune, for affording me the opportunity to further teach my daughter, my dad's granddaughter, about legacy, and that's why we brought her. We don't usually travel with her to events like this, but I thought it was important for her to see the legacy of her family and what her grandfather stood for, so she can grow up knowing that she's got an awesome family history. So thank you so much for this honor. It means so much to us, and congratulations to all the other honorees. And again, thank you so much.
Let's give Tiffany and her little one another round of applause. As Senior Managing Compliance and Global Anti-Bribery Counsel for the Coca-Cola Company, Mr. John Lewis Jr. leads all compliance programming for the company's North America business operations, consisting approximately of 70,000 employees. Globally, he directs company compliance with the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act and related anti-corruption laws and regulations. He also founded and leads the company's legal division on diversity council. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Hall of Fame sponsor and to introduce our next honoree, Mr. John Lewis Jr.
Good evening, everyone. The Coca-Cola Company is delighted to support the Atlanta Tribune as it pays homage this evening to legal legends. And I am particularly honored and privileged to be able to introduce and to have been asked to introduce Thomas G. Sampson, Sr. of the Thomas Kennedy Sampson and Tompkins Law Firm for recognition as a legal legend. For over 30 years, reliability has been a watchword of Thomas Kennedy, Sampson, and Tompkins. In my own experience with the company, in 2005, I was privileged to ask the firm to represent the company in a major patent infringement case against another beverage company, who shall remain unnamed. And in remembering that conversation with Tom and with Jeff Tompkins at the time, they said to me, John, well, we don't really know anything about patent infringement law. We're not scientists, we're not patent lawyers. Why would you want us to participate in such a case of such importance to the company? And my answer was simple. You guys are the best trial lawyers in town. And while the science is complicated and while the patents are intense, the truth of the matter is, Justice Benham, the judge doesn't know patent law either. And we're going to need somebody to teach these patent folks and scientists to speak English. The firm has been counsel to the company for many, many years, serving in all sorts of utility capacities. For instance, the firm was counsel to the company for the 1996 Summer Olympic Games, counsel to the Atlanta Committee for the Games, and the firm negotiated and prepared nearly $50 million in sponsorship contracts for ACOG, as well as negotiated Olympic venue contracts. Simply put, for our city and for my company, and for many companies here in the room, Thomas Kennedy has been the preeminent go-to law firm, not the preeminent minority law firm, but really a team of the preeminent lawyers in the city. But it really goes much deeper than that, and you should understand that Thomas Kennedy has become, for the black lawyers in this room and for the black lawyers throughout this city, really the fountainhead of practice and opportunity. So many of the people who practice in this city who look like me claim some heritage to Thomas Kennedy and claim some connectedness to that firm. So in many respects, Thomas Kennedy really is sort of the progenitor of the black legal practice in this city. And Tom Sampson, it is fair to say that you are a dean of the trial bar here. And it is altogether for that reason fitting and appropriate that you be honored here tonight as a legend by the Atlanta Tribune. At this time, I'd ask that everyone please turn your attention to the screens for a snapshot of Thomas Sampson and his illustrious career, and a bit more context about the Thomas Kennedy Law Firm.
Good evening. Thank you so much, my friend John Lewis, for those very kind and gracious remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, Honorable Caesar Mitchell, we were delighted to have Caesar Mitchell practice with our firm. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, fellow honorees, distinguished guests, and friends, I am deeply honored and extremely humbled at being one of tonight's honorees. Anytime one is recognized for any work that they do, that in and of itself is an extremely gratifying experience. But when you are honored alongside folks who are your heroes, people whom you admire and respect to the highest, that simply elevates the experience to a totally new level. I speak, of course, of my fellow honorees, former Chief Justice Bob Benham, former Chief Justice Leah Sears Ward, Leah Ward Sears, I'm sorry, and the late, great Johnnie Cochran. You know, about a month ago, I attended a Hall of Fame banquet that was put on by the Gates City Bar Association. As I was walking into the banquet, I met one of my friends who happened to be an honoree that night. I said, "Hey man, congratulations." He looked at me. He said, "Tom, don't you know that folks begin to honor you when they think you're going to die?" I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah, you didn't know that?" I said, "Well, if that's the case, my friend, I'm sure glad they're honoring you tonight, not me." Lo and behold, 2 weeks later, I get notice of this award. Well, I would say, quite frankly, to my friend, irrespective of whether my life expectancy was a consideration in this award being bestowed upon me, I am just as gratified nonetheless. You know, anytime one reaches any modicum of success in one's endeavors, that's because of other people. That's because of the foundation that they have laid. That's because of their love, support, and encouragement. As the video presentation indicated, my father was a hero of mine. He was a lawyer. He taught law at North Carolina Central University in Durham and later became dean. He passed away in the year 2000, and I wish he was here to share this moment with me. Another strong influence in my life was my late cousin, R.E. Thomas Jr. Our firm bears the Thomas name. That's where the Thomas in Thomas Kennedy, Sampson, and Tompkins, that's where that name comes from. And he was a big influence in my life and one of my mentors and a legal pioneer in this city. I also have to recognize and must acknowledge my partners. Jeff Tompkins first. Jeff is the only lawyer my firm hired before he got out of law school. Jeff worked with us one summer. We said, "You got a job offer, and you better take it. You got 10 minutes to decide." He has been with my firm for 27 years, and he, along with my son Woody, who I'm immensely proud of, I'm proud of them and for everything that they have done in terms of the growth and the development of our firm. They are two of the finest lawyers I know, and they know how much I depend on them. And to hear them tell it, we tell him what to do. And I say, "Yeah, you do most of the time." I also want to acknowledge our associates, because we as lawyers know that the real heavy lifting is done by others in a law practice. We've got extremely fine associates. And we also have an extremely fine staff. If you would indulge me, can I ask the Thomas Kennedy family to please stand that we have here? Our staff in the aggregate has over 100 years of legal experience. I'm speaking of non-lawyers. I want to finally, or next at least, mention my dear wife of 44 years. She's been at my side since I started law school, and she's been with me through many bright moments, but an awful lot of dark ones too. And I can say that without her love, support, and encouragement, I would not be standing here today. Thank you, sweetheart. My daughter, Dr. Aaliyah Sampson Brown, and my granddaughter, Leela, are here. And my daughter, Aaliyah, and granddaughter have been two of my biggest cheerleaders. You know, they're of the Twitter and Facebook generation, so things get spread awfully fast. Thank you, Aaliyah, and thank you, Leela. I'd like to next commend Ms. Latia and the Atlanta Tribune and its fine staff for what they do for our community through the George Latia Foundation. You mean so much to this community. And in closing, I'd like to say that I shall cherish this award with the Lord's blessing, hopefully not only during my life expectancy, but beyond. Thank you very much.
Our final presenter for the evening is the illustrious Mrs. Teresa Wynn Roseborough. Teresa Wynn Roseborough is Executive Vice President, General Counsel, and Corporate Secretary for the Home Depot. A graduate of the University of Virginia, master's graduate of Boston University, law graduate of University of North Carolina, where she finished with high honors. Ms. Roseborough joined the Home Depot in 2001 and is responsible for all legal functions worldwide, including securities, litigation, employment, mergers and acquisitions, and intellectual property. She is also responsible for the company's government relations and corporate security services. A former clerk to U.S. Supreme Court Justice John Paul Stevens, former Deputy Assistant Attorney General in the Clinton administration, and former partner at the Sutherland, Asheville, and Brennan law firm. She was inducted into the Gate City Hall of Fame just last month. She is married to attorney Joseph Roseborough, who is in attendance tonight as well. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Hall of Fame host committee member, Ms. Teresa Wynn Roseborough.
Thank you, Brian. I'm going to owe you extra for that one. Good evening, everyone. You know, it's a great thing to see so many lawyers in the room tonight, so many African-American lawyers. But it's a special thing to see so many African-American women lawyers who I know have joined me in having in their hearts the opportunity to acknowledge a trailblazer and a game changer for us in our careers, Chief Justice Leah Ward Sears. She's now in practice with Schiff Hardin, leading its national appellate practice, in itself a trailblazing role, as we know that not many of us occupy the role of practice leaders in majority firms across the country. But her credentials began back in 1980 when she began practice in Atlanta with the firm of Alston and Bird, and then was appointed by Andy Young to be a judge on the traffic court. What a heady thing that had to be. But then she became the first African-American woman to sit on the Fulton County Superior Court, a game-changing event for those of us African-American women who would litigate before that court, to know among the colleagues and judges of that court that there was already an African-American woman there. And then Zell Miller appointed her to the Georgia Supreme Court. At the time of that appointment, she was the first woman to serve on that court and the youngest person ever to serve on that court, later to become its Chief Justice. Please join me in watching this video tribute to Justice Leah Ward Sears. That's great, a woman who's gone where no woman has gone before. Justice Sears is not able to be here tonight to accept the award, but one of her mentees is here on her behalf. Kim Burrows, will you join me? And Justice Sears recorded some comments of acceptance for us.
I am deeply, deeply gratified to the Atlanta Tribune, Pat Latier, all the staff, everybody on this momentous occasion. I could not be at the gala this evening. I'm actually in New York, as you're listening to this, at another function that had been scheduled 6 months ago before I was ever inducted into the Hall of Fame. And I've asked my associate, Kimberly Burrows, to please come and accept the award for me. But I have tremendous respect for the Atlanta Tribune. Thank you very much. I deeply appreciate it. And have a good time, you all. I'm sorry I'm not back in Atlanta having a good time with you all, but I'm stuck in New York in the cold.
Good evening. I know for certain that Justice Sears truly wanted to be here. In fact, we were trying to figure out a way, how could we make it work? She says, Kim, you know, can we make this work? And I had to bear the bad and very sad news for her that, no, Judge, you've got to be in New York and there's no getting out of it. So she sent me here to give you her personal thanks and her deepest gratitude for this such high honor and recognition. I know for certain that she could not be any more appreciative for this recognition by her peers and by so many that she has respected for so long and admired. She's proud to join the ranks with such leaders as Justice Robert Benham, Mr. Thompson Sampson, as well as the late Johnny Cochran. She wanted me to tell you that she couldn't be any more humble. So Without further ado, I don't want to take the words out of her mouth, but she wants me, and I am so happy to do so, to thank the Atlanta Tribune as well as Ms. Latier and the entire staff for recognizing her. Thank you to Ms. Teresa Wynn Roseborough for giving such a wonderful and very gracious introduction of her as well. And as well as to our firm, Schiff Hardin, a sponsor of tonight's beautiful event. If the lawyers of Schiff Hardin, if you don't mind standing up, we're so glad to be supported by Schiff Hardin. In making our Atlanta community so great. Thank you, everyone, and when you see Justice Sears, give her a pat on her back, as I know that I am so grateful to work with such a wonderful mentor, teacher, and even as some would peg her as my mother in the law, which I don't mind. Have a good evening, everyone. Thank you again.
Thank you, Teresa, and thank you, Kim. I just cannot resist. Justice Sears Ward and I practice in the same building in Midtown, and I am absolutely sure when I see her, I will do more than give her a pat on the back. I will probably do something, because I'm a Trekkie, something like long live and prosper. I can't wait to do it. I can't wait. But Justice Sears Ward, a vanguard for women and all lawyers, Johnnie Cochran, a giant and a gentleman, Justice Robert Benham, a kind warrior and trailblazer, and Tom Sampson, an elegant man among boys. And I dare say that I would not be standing here as City Council President and a practicing attorney were it not for his leadership, not only for me in the law, but in life and in learning and in manhood. Let's give a round of applause for all of the honorees. I don't want to steal anyone's thunder, but I want to also acknowledge Pat Latier. We take for granted all the wonderful things we have here in our city. You tell me where you can go anywhere in this country, and you can literally see the owner and publisher of a wonderful magazine just being in a place with people, honoring people, and even just hanging out. Now, I don't want to put your business in the street, but I'll tell you the thing I think about the most when I see Pat is that she is accessible, she is friendly, she does not separate herself from other people, and she doesn't even mind taking a picture of you to put in her magazine. Now think about that. You find most newspaper or magazine owners, they really will send a staff out to take photographs. That's beneath them, but that is not beneath Pat. She understands how important it is to be of and a part of the people you serve and the people you inform. So let's give Pat a round of applause as well. As was mentioned earlier this evening, tonight's event also benefits the George A. Latier Scholarship Foundation. On hand this evening to share an overview of this important initiative is Ms. Cheryl Selloway, Executive Director of Verizon Wireless. Ms. Selloway oversees public relations, media relations, corporate communications, community affairs, and promotes Verizon's products and services for 13 southern states. Please welcome Hall of Fame sponsor, Ms. Cheryl Selloway.
Good evening. There's been a mistake. I am not a lawyer. I think I'm the only person here that's not a lawyer, in fact. It is really an honor to be here, and you know what? When I think about George Latier, for those of you who knew him personally, I can just see his smile right now. Can't you? Don't you remember George Latier? And it's really because of his work and his love for golf and being in the community that we have the George Latier Foundation. This evening, one of the things we do, in addition to celebrating the Hall of Fame honorees, is we also give attention to the George A. Latier Foundation. And one of the things we do with the foundation is give students an opportunity to study and to learn and to grow in the public relations profession. Isn't that wonderful? Let's give the foundation a hand. Now this evening, what we'd like to do is celebrate an intern who has been doing great work at the Atlanta Tribune, and she is here tonight. And so we would like to present her with this certificate of merit, and also to tell you that she is going to be doing work with the Atlanta Tribune. She's going to learn about the profession of working for a magazine and sales and marketing and PR. And as a PR person myself, I can tell you that I'm sure she's going to have a great experience in the days and weeks and months ahead. So let's celebrate Kenyatta Rhodes with the Atlanta Tribune. On behalf of the George Latier Foundation and the Atlanta Tribune, we would like to honor you with the scholarship that comes with the internship and all the great work you will do. And I can tell you, because I know Pat personally, that she's going to work you to death. So she is going to get all she can out of you with those scholarship dollars, right? And so we're just excited to have Kenyatta here. So let's give her another warm welcome and thanks for her work, and we will present this certificate to her. And let's hear a few words from her.
Thank you, Ms. Cheryl, for the lovely introduction. Good evening, everyone. First, I would like to thank Ms. Pat and the wonderful staff at Atlanta Tribune, the magazine, for their warm welcome. And I would like to also congratulate all tonight's honorees. Coming from a small town of Allendale, South Carolina, where there were no Walmarts and there were only 5 traffic lights, it's inspiring to hear the inductees' stories about how hard work really pays off. With this internship, I hope to learn a lot about all the aspects of the magazine business. Once again, thank you, the Atlanta Tribune, the magazine, for this wonderful opportunity, and I hope you all enjoy the evening.
Get your raffle tickets out now. But before we go there, we're going to have closing remarks from the publisher of Atlanta Tribune, the magazine, also one of my heroes, Miss Pat Latier.
Thank you, Caesar, and thank you, Brian. I think I can call you both by the first name. This has been a wonderful night, and I know it's long, and I know everybody needs to get back on 75, 85, 400, but we have a few slides to kind of thank our sponsors, because like Simon said very early, we have the idea, but we need sponsors to make this work. And also our Hall of Fame inductees. you should have, all of our inductees should have a blue Delta bag in your seats, so you have 50 extra copies of your great article to share with your friends. I also found out that we had a $500 Georgia Lottery winner. This is the third year that the Georgia Lottery has given us tickets, and these are real tickets, as we found out. So I'm going to do something a little different. We had wonderful volunteers today. So as I'm talking, if one of my staff members can make sure all the volunteers stand over here, I've got some extra tickets to give them. And our host committee members, we have about 8 wonderful lawyers that agreed to help us on the host committee. And I'd love for you to come on this side, because I'm going to give you a couple of lottery tickets. So, and then also, if you do win, the deal is I get 60% and you get 40? Well, all right. Just make sure you sign the back of the ticket if it's a winning ticket, and be ready to report that big win to the IRS. So again, I want my volunteers to come on this side so they can get tickets. I want my Hall of Fame host members to come to this side. It should be about 8, so I can give you the tickets. All the host committees, you had on your red flowers. Your photos were running. You know who you are. And are my staff members bringing the volunteers on this side? And Denise, are you all having them to run our sponsors here? Because we're going to have a little busy work. Remember, if you are a host of a table, the centerpiece is yours. I also have some other sponsors that I want to give a few items to. The Coca-Cola Company has been our supporter for the last 10 years through Ingrid Saunders Jones' office, but John Lewis, you're here to represent, so you need to come forward. UPS is now one of our, there's more volunteers than this. Where are the rest of the volunteers? You don't want a lottery ticket? So if you could get on this side, please. UPS, Kathy, are you still in the room? Cheryl Sellaway, you just heard, but Cheryl, please come up. Kathy, you're on this side. You're not a volunteer. All volunteers and Atlanta Tribune staff members should be here. All host committee members and sponsor. You all know who you are. Come on up. Come on up. The Coca-Cola Company, Verizon, UPS. They didn't give me the full list. So Delta Airlines, you're in the house. Schiff Harden is in the house. The Georgia Lottery, I think they went to make more tickets. Oh, somebody's still there. Hartsfield-Jackson Airport, Myrna, you're here. Sabrina with the Braves, you're in the house. General Motors, Mike Washington, are you still here? Or did you go build a car? Mike, I see you. Come on. Any other sponsors that I missed because the light is in my eyes? I truly cannot see. Is that it, Denise? Okay. So our great photographer, you can take a few pictures, and can you roll that one more time while we pass out some tickets? Now the deal is 50-50. Earl, who used to be our intern, you can do this. Why don't you hand them out here on this side to your volunteers? Is Martina still here? Well, are you coming for your tickets? And Brian Poe, can you hand them out over here? Do you need some more? You all good? We had more volunteers. We're the Atlanta Tribune staff members. Did you get your tickets? Everybody got tickets? The host committee members got tickets? Now don't scratch them now. We have some table sponsors. Mr. Sampson, your firm bought a table. Send somebody to get some more tickets. If you bought a table and I have not called your name, please come on up because I can't scratch all these tickets. I can't do that. And Attorney Smith, you bought a table. Miss Greer. Miss Greer, did you get yours?
Okay, we'll get them for you just a second. I do have some more. So then the last set of tickets will be for West Side Story at the Cobb Energy Center. Ticket number 7537. 7537. Okay, come on. Okay, and next item is for the beauty bath set. It's the Pamper Mint Body Lotion Detox C Mint Scrub and Aroma Sachet. Ticket number. That one is 7505. 7505. 7178. 7505 right here? Okay. She gets one of the silver bags with the tie on top. So there's another one of those same gifts, and the ticket I just called was 7178. All right. Okay. Right over there, and you get the silver bag as well. So we should have one more left. Another Wild Tree Blueberry Pancake and Syrup Buttermilk Pancake Mix set. Ticket number 7428. 7428? Okay, right over there. He won the Wild Tree Buttermilk Pancake and Syrup bag. It's in the red and white bag. Okay. That concludes our raffle for this evening. And if you have something on the silent auction list and you'd like to settle that now, we will be taking that out in the foyer area. And Pat Latier will come up for any closing remarks. Are you done? Oh, okay. Well, good night, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. I usually don't close the show, but good night. Thank you so much. Hope you had a